Well, I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I thank him for hosting this today. This is extremely important. Mr. Speaker, I have the honor and privilege of representing the 1st Congressional District of Georgia, a district that includes the entire coast of Georgia, over 100 miles of pristine coastline. We're very proud. The coast of Georgia is my home. It's where I've lived all my life, where I was born and I was raised, and I intend to live the rest of my life. I love the coast of Georgia, and I've always said that I'm going to protect the coast of Georgia, and I am. Mr. Speaker, climate change is real. Protecting our environment is real. We understand that. Since day one, the climate has been changing. Yes, industrialization has had an impact on it as well. We understand that. In order to represent my constituents, I believe our nation needs to be working in a responsible way to prepare ourselves for future weather events while striving for more clean and more affordable energy sources. Mr. Speaker, in an 11-month period, we had 2 major hurricanes on the Georgia coast, Hurricane Matthew and Hurricane Irma. In 11 months, the number of hurricanes appears to be increasing, and there are those who would argue that the intensity of those hurricanes are increasing. That is something we're concerned with. I serve on the Select Committee on Climate Change as well as on the Environment Subcommittee of the Energy and Commerce Committee. And that's very important. That's where I need to be as the representative of the country. I need to be on those committees. This is where I want to be. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, to address this problem, the majority party, the Democrats, have offered H.R. 9. It's coming to the floor this week. And it's not a solution. It's not a solution to climate change. What it is government overreach at its best. At its best, it's government overreach. It disallows the president from withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement. It puts our economy, our national security, and our ability to make our environment cleaner in danger. While other nations, as was pointed out by my colleague from Louisiana, other nations just simply continue on. They aren't held by these same principles. China right now is responsible for 30% of the pollution in the world, and yet they aren't abiding by this. They aren't even a part of this, of the Paris climate. They're not agreement. They're not even participating in this. Not until 2030. And as my colleague pointed out again, they can just continue to increase pollution. While we here in America, if the president's not allowed to get us out of this climate agreement, we're going to have to adhere to that. That's not fair. And it's not going to help if China is not held to the same principles that we're held to. Mr. Speaker, between the year 2000 and 2014, the United States decreased emissions, by more than 14%. In fact, by more than 18%. But China's emissions have increased. They've doubled since the year 2000. And they're significantly higher than the U.S. right now. The U.S. is already leading the way. Without the Paris Climate Agreement, we're leading the way. We're the economic leader. And we can't let a half-baked policy like H.R. 9 jeopardize that status. Companies in our country are responsible, and they're leading the way. As my colleague from Louisiana mentioned, we had a meeting earlier today of the Select Committee on Climate Change. We had witnesses who told us about companies who are involved in this, who are already on their own accord, on their own initiative, doing things, putting in place programs that are going to help with climate change. For example, there's a startup called 40 Oceanus that's collected 4.2 million pounds of ocean garbage. If we put our economy at risk through expensive regulations and mandates, we risk losing companies like this and the capital that they have necessary to invest in these projects. As my colleague stated earlier, we have to have an all-of-the-above approach. In order to control climate change, we need 3 things. We need adaptation, we need mitigation, and we need innovation. Mr. Speaker, H.R. 9 is bad policy. Again, as my colleague pointed out earlier, it was brought about without even a subcommittee hearing. It was rushed through. We can't, this is a very important subject. This is a very important subject that can't be rushed. We can't take this lightly. We have to take this seriously. We are taking it seriously in the Republican Party. The Democrats didn't think about the real consequences of this bill. Here we have the new Green Deal, pie in the sky, that would ruin our economy. $93 trillion. And it includes things such as health care for all. Now, and what's that got to do with climate change? Absolutely nothing. We need to concentrate. We need to focus. We need to have real common sense solutions to this, and that's what we're proposing. But here we have politics as usual on Capitol Hill with the Democrats bringing this to the floor. They could care less about the impacts on our economy or about the impacts on real people. You know, this legislation, H.R. 9, quite frankly, would be better off being called the U.S. Energy Disadvantage Act. That's what they ought to call it. Having said all this, Mr. Speaker, I will tell you, and I mean this sincerely, I'm excited. I'm excited about the future of clean energy. I'm excited about the future of innovation in America. We have the greatest innovators in the world right here in America. We have the smartest scientists in the world right here in America. If we simply give them the chance to do their work, they will do it. I'm convinced of that. Yes, we need to incentivize it. We need to encourage it. But we don't need to be an obstacle. We don't need to be in the way. Look at the internet, arguably one of the greatest inventions in modern times. Where did that come from? Right here in America. I'm excited. I'm convinced that we can come up with real solutions to this. Unfortunately, H.R. 9 is not one of those real solutions. H.R. 9 is going to ruin our economy. The new Green Deal, are you kidding me? That's just, that pie in the sky type legislation has no place. We need real solutions. Citizens thought, they sent us up here to come up with real solutions, not some pie in the sky idea. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to vote against this bill, against H.R. 9, and deliberate on real solutions that will make our world cleaner, improve our environment without destroying our economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.